All right, everybody. Good afternoon and happy Monday if there's ever anything such as a happy Monday. Um, what I would like you to do is, while people are getting in here, post in the chat box something that you did over the weekend that was enjoyable. I'm just taking attendance here quickly, and we can take a look at your responses. All right, awesome. Let's see. Swam, sat outside, bike, slept, volleyball, polo match. Interesting. Ran 3 miles. Rawson. Vinyl, shopping, Broad Ripple, volleyball, Broad Ripple, slept, volleyball, worked, drive-in movie. Nice. Socially distanced hangouts. There you go. Practice soccer, slept. I'm jealous of all of you. State park, slept. Not bad. I think that's pretty good. All right. I'm going to go ahead and take over the screen. Thanks for giving me a minute to take attendance. And obviously, you guys have a notes quiz today, but not too worried about that. I would like to spend a few minutes, obviously, on today's a skills day, beginning of class at least. I always try to work on something related to the test. So what we did yesterday, or what we did last week, was I believe we worked on changing continuity over time, and we worked on comparison so far. I think you guys know what those are. Cause and effect, I think we're getting better at also. So I wanted to get a little more nitty gritty today. I'm going to go to modules and just show you guys that it's on here. But DBQ work 2020, 2021. This is just a page that I'm going to create, or I've created. And the first thing I have on here is the DBQ rubric. Unfortunately, when I click on this link, which I'll do in a second or now, when I click on this link, it takes me to the entire course description, which is 258 pages. So that being said, obviously we're not going to look at 258 pages. So what I'm going to do is, I think it's like 220 is the rubric, something around there. Yeah. All right. So here's what I wanted to look at with you guys today, and that was this thing known as the DBQ. That's known as the document-based question. All right. And we're going to be writing one of these by the end of the semester. So I think it's about time we start getting, like I said, we did the activity of sourcing last week too. So I really wanted to introduce you to the actual rubric. So it's 7 points is what the rubric is graded on. And the one nice thing for you guys is this rubric is the same one that you'll use if you take, or when you take APUSH, if you take European history, possibly government also. So you learn it in this class freshman year, and it'll be beneficial for you in the future. Okay. All right. So of the 7 points, the national average is typically right around a 2 or less out of 7. So keep that in mind, that it's, again, people don't score very well on this. So when it might sound like common sense or easy, it's not that easy, and it takes a lot of practice. Okay. All right. So of the 7 points, the first one is a thesis statement, and we're going to talk a lot more about a thesis statement, but this will go at the end of your first paragraph. And the thesis statement must answer the question. And it must answer the question, and then it must be a roadmap for your essay. You're going to hear me say a lot of times roadmap. So you're going to end up grouping these documents. You'll get 7 documents that you'll have to answer this question, and you're going to end up grouping them in 3 different ways. I don't like to use the word grouping. I'd rather use the word like answer the question, but you're going to answer the question with three answers essentially, and each one of those answers is going to be a body paragraph. Okay, so that needs to be in your thesis. Before you write your thesis, though, and this is out of order on the rubric, is you're going to essentially provide what's called contextualization. And contextualization is essentially you're putting whatever the question is into a bigger framework of like what's going on around the world. And we like to call it like a funnel approach. So you start broad and then you get more specific until you get to what your topic is or what the question is. All right. And you can see right here for criteria, it says describes a broader historical context relevant to the prompt. So this is why, like, a lot of times I'll say, all right, so whatever is happening in China affects the rest of the world too. It's kind of like, have you guys ever seen a lake before? If you see a lake and you throw a pond into a lake, or sorry, so you throw a rock into a pond, that's what I meant, sorry, or a lake, and it creates a ripple effect, obviously. And it's the same thing. So what they're trying to say is what ripple effect of what's happening around the world in terms of what the question is. Okay, so that's 2. All right, now it gets a little bit confusing down here. So points 3, 4, and 5. This is where you have to be able to actually use the documents that you're given to support your argument, okay, or your thesis statement. So if you use at least 3 of them correctly, you get 1 point. If you use at least 6 out of the 7 correctly, you get 2 points. So you'll frequently hear me say you're going to use all 7, because I would not chance it that you may use the document wrong, or you might not understand like the actual meaning of the document or what they wanted you to get. So I would try to use all of them. And it says to earn this, you can't simply quote it. You have to actually use it towards your argument to get the 2 points. You'll see the difference. 1 point is uses the content. The second one is supports an argument in response. So to get those 2 points, you really have to use the documents to support your response. Okay, whatever your thesis is. All right, here's a weird one then. Okay, evidence beyond the documents. So you have to actually use an additional piece of evidence that is not in the documents to support your argument. And so this is why we do the themes kind of thing every Thursday, is so that you guys have the opportunity to make sure that you have the knowledge base of all the different themes so that you'll be able to pull up a piece of evidence to use. And it should be, somewhat on top of your head, especially once we study for this exam, in April and May. Okay. So you have to actually mention that in one of your body paragraphs. And it can't be the contextualization. So it's additional evidence beyond the contextualization, and it's in your body paragraphs. All right, point 6 and 7 then. For at least 3 of the documents, you explain how or why the document's point of view, purpose, historical situation, and or audience is relevant to an argument. So this is exactly what we did last Wednesday with the North Central football game, if you guys remember right, or if you remember doing that. But you're now going to have to do that with actual sources. And so one of the reasons why we do the soapstones is to practice this. So you have to actually say that when you introduce your sources. You have to point out there what I call limitations. But a lot of times you'll hear teachers simplify it to just bias. What do we know about that author that's going to essentially change how they are, or how they're writing, what they're writing, okay, or what they're producing? Could be a picture, etc. All right, so you did that for at least 3 of the 7 documents. I tell kids we try to do it for at least all of them, 6 out of 7 or all of them, so that if you make a mistake, you at least will get 3 of them right and get that point, okay? The last point then is, this is one that's a borderline impossible to get, is develops a complex understanding of the historical development that is the focus of the prompt, using evidence to corroborate, qualify, or modify an argument that addresses the question. So every year I look at this and I'm like, what in the world? And so the way that you get this, they say, is there's a variety of different ways. So explaining a nuance of an issue by analyzing multiple variables. That sounds like a math equation to me. Okay. Explaining both similarity and difference, or explaining both continuity and change, or explaining multiple causes, or explaining both cause and effect. That makes sense. Explaining relevant and insightful connections within and across periods, confirming the validity of an argument by corroborating multiple perspectives across themes. Yuck. And then qualifying or modifying an argument by considering diverse alternative views or evidence. This understanding must be part of the argument, not merely a phrase or reference. So I have a way of going for that point. It's our conclusion paragraph. And what we do is we compare whatever your essay is about to something else that happened around the world in a different place, or in the same place in a different time period. So for example, if you got an essay about the Atlantic slave trade, well, then you could compare it to the slave trade in East Africa or in the Indian Ocean, and how it wasn't dissimilar, and how, European demand for labor completely was, changed how slavery was looked at in the rest of the world. And, again, that would be a way to show a nuance that they're looking for. Anyways, so it might seem daunting, but 7 points. So what we'll start doing, and what you're going to recognize Mr. Brunette is doing, is we'll start working on the skill that's aimed at one of those points. Okay, and we do it all the time. You end up doing it in this class way more than you realize. You just don't know it. Yeah, so, all right, so I wanted to do that, and then instead of using, I have a sample one on there, but we'll just look at the document that they have, or the practice one that they have on here. So their practice question right here says, evaluate the extent to which the experience of the First World War changed relationships between Europeans and colonized peoples. So that's that was a question. Again, this is just one that they have on here. But then so evaluate the extent. Part of the issue people have, like 90% of the time, is that they answer the question wrong. They don't even answer the right question. So evaluate the extent to which. So evaluate the extent. So that's asking you to say basically how much relationships changed between Europeans and colonized peoples because of World War I, the First World War. Okay. A lot of times I find that it's easiest to put the question in your own words. Okay. And to put it in a way that makes sense to you, or else you're going to be, hunting blind. It's not easy. All right. So let's just take a look at one of these documents. And you notice that they give you this sourcing information up here. John Chalembwe, native of British Nyasaland, present-day Malawi, an ordained Baptist minister, in a letter he sent to the newspaper, the Nyasaland Times. Okay, so that information right there gives you enough to point out how this person's going to be biased. You don't even need to read the document. Okay, and so you'll notice that they do that for all of these. Because I was looking at these, even on this postcard, you'll see that they give you some sourcing. So then it's your responsible to figure out like what's going to affect. If you in the chat function, if you guys can throw up, even look at this first document. What do you think is going to affect this first document? Like, don't even read the document. Just look at what they give you. Already, there's some obvious bias. There's going to be some obvious bias or point of view that comes from just what we see here. So what do you guys think? All right, so we got somebody here who threw up an answer. Let's see. Oh, it's a bit difficult to read. Oh, that's not an answer. Baptist minister. Ding, ding, ding. Good job, Kadia Blickenstoff. Yes, the fact that he's a Christian, he's a minister, but he's also a native is totally going to change his perspective. For sure. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop there. I think you guys have given me about 15 to 20 minutes. That's what I was expecting. So this is you guys have access to this link now. Just remember that the outline of the actual rubric, you have to go to like page 220. Okay. I'll try to break it down and give you a different link. But again, we'll be using this quite a bit this semester moving forward. All right. It's my responsibility now to show you guys where the old quiz is. Oh, no, let's go to modules. Get in the habit of doing that. Your notes quiz is right here. 15 questions, I want to say. Yeah. And you guys have the rest of the class to get it done. Okay. If you think it's going to take you longer than that, or if you have an IEP and you get extra time, you can take it when you have more time. That's up to you. Okay. I would prefer that it's done at the end of the class period. All right. I'm going to let you guys go now. Good luck. It's pretty straightforward. Use your notes. And if you have a question on here, ask me. If not, like I said, go get your job done.
So I was wondering, you're talking about the DBQ and you said the average like national score is like a 2 out of 7. Is that what you see in your classes as well? Or?
No. We should do a lot better than that.
Yeah, I was just like, if like.
Because a lot of teachers don't teach the actual rubric. They just assume kids are going to figure it out on their own, which is ridiculous because it's not that easy.
Mm-hmm. I was just like, that's a really low score. Like, I know like this is like a rigorous class, but like I thought you meant also like that was like correlated like with your class too. So I was like, that's a really.
No, typically, well, last year I think I had 7 kids that got perfect on the same, but last year the test was totally messed up.
Because it was? Oh, because it was like
COVID. Yeah. They only did one, all you had was one DBQ, shortened DBQ. There was only 5 documents. Like they didn't do the multiple choice, the long essay question, or the short answer questions.
Oh.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I would have at least thought they could do the short or like the multiple choice ones. They didn't.
Not securely. They couldn't figure out a way. So, yeah.
Okay, well, thanks. I was just wondering.
Yeah, no worries. Vincent or Sam, do you guys have a question? Okay.